break-in happens, the chances are that the resident should take precautions and add some security features to their house, because there's a good chance that the crook might return. Re-victimization happens usually between 10 to 12 months after the burglary happens initially. So if the resident hasn't done anything to increase their security, they're likely to be the victim of another break-in. And one of the things I notice when I come up here is that the hedge is quite high, so that it's not visible from the street. I would recommend to the owner that they reduce the height of the hedge a little bit, so that the neighbors can see the front door more clearly. So it's a balance between privacy and security. The outside door has a lock on it, which is really good. If there's two doors and each of them has a lock, that helps to deter any attempted break-in. So now this door is usually kept open, I guess, because the inside door has two locks on it. I decided that I had to reinforce the whole door somehow, so I got an extra lock. Now the original lock is a very good one, but of course once you get your hand inside, you can open the lock by the handle. It locks this way as well, but it's still openable by the handle. Now this is a spring latch with a locking plunger on it. When that plunger is inserted in, held back by the strike plate, the latch doesn't go in. So it's sort of got a double locking feature. So it's a good lock essentially, unless you open it from the inside, of course. So then I added this vertical deadbolt. It's called a vertical deadbolt or a jimmy-proof lock. The jimmy-proof lock is my insurance. I don't lock that every day. For daily use, I use only this lock. But when I'm going away or if I'm out of town for any reason, I keep the key right here, and I'll lock that lock like that, so that if someone breaks this window and reaches in, the door won't open. So I bought myself a piece of polycarbonate. It's called Lexan. The trade name is called Lexan. It's unbreakable plastic. So I put a piece of unbreakable plastic here, polycarbonate, over the top of the window, and I put the stained glass window back in behind the polycarbonate. So if somebody tries to break it now, they can't break it because this polycarbonate is unbreakable. When I first bought this house, my mailbox was a little box fastened to the wall on the outside of the door. And everybody's got these. They're very, very common. But my problem was I used to go away quite frequently, especially when my wife was working out of town. So I'd be away for long weekends and that sort of thing. And I'd have to ask my neighbors to pick up my mail. And that became a problem after doing it for a year or 2 years. So I decided I had to have my own mailbox without having neighbors involved. That's when I cut a slot in the door, and I put a mail slot in here. This is a fairly large mailbox though, but I wanted it big enough so that a magazine can be inserted without any difficulty. So that's what I did. I just cut a hole in the door and installed my own mail slot. The mailbox is deliberately large enough so that a magazine can be inserted without any difficulty. But the problem with that is that it may be big enough for a small person to get their hand in. But that isn't really a problem, because the only way they can open the door is by reaching up to the handle and then opening the handle and then opening the vertical deadbolt. And that's not possible, so that's how the door is protected ultimately, because of the two locks. Now this door had I had an attempted break-in a few years back, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. After the attempted break-in, this is when I put in the deadbolt. And this is a Medeco, not a Medeco, I'm sorry, it's a multi-lock deadbolt. Very, very expensive. It's a $350 lock. There's an interesting feature that this lock has. It's called a removable thumb turn, where you put your key in like that and turn it, and the thumb turn comes out, so that you turn it into a double cylinder lock. This is an extra insurance, especially when you have a window in the door like I do. This window is vulnerable. It could be broken by a crook, and the burglar could reach in and potentially open this lock. If the thumb turn is in it, they can open it by reaching in. But when I go away for any length of time, that comes out, and I either take it with me or I put it somewhere safe in the house, and then the door is virtually impregnable. This is the strike plate. There's a strike plate for each lock, of course. This is a particularly unique strike plate because it's 8 inches long, and it takes 6 screws. Each of these screws is a 3-inch screw. So the screw penetrates the door frame, and then it penetrates the stud behind the door as well. So it's extremely secure. That's your 3-inch screw. And with 6 of those in a strike plate like this, makes it extremely difficult to kick it out or shoulder the door or force it in any other way. Once you've got this side of the door secure, the hinges could potentially be a problem. Most hinges are installed with fairly short screws. So what I've done is I've taken 1 screw out of each hinge and I put a 3-inch screw there as well. See, there's a 3-inch screw. I have 1 of these in each hinge. It gives the whole door more support because of the extra length in the screw, but it also protects the door from jam spreading. Another feature on this of this lock is this brass plate. You can see it's called a door reinforcer or an escutcheon plate. It's a collar that fits over the end of the door to protect the door from splitting. This is a piece of a door that actually was broken into, and it's a metal-clad door. These are very common now. Metal on one side, metal on the other side, and wood down the middle. When these doors are attacked, this is what can happen. They split like this down the center. So to counter that, this is what this door reinforcer is for. If a burglar wants to get into my garage and he doesn't want to break a window, they could potentially knock out the pins in these hinges and remove the door from the hinge side, even if the locks are locked. What you do is you drill a hole in each leaf of the hinge, and you screw in a screw into the jamb part, and you cut the head off the screw. You leave it protruding by about 1/2 inch, and you cut the head off so that when the door is closed, that headless screw penetrates the hole on the other leaf of the hinge, and that prevents the door from being pulled out if the main pins are removed. So that's how we combat that problem. These are newer windows. They're made with vinyl sash. Vinyl sash have problems because the structure of the sash is that their thin sheets of vinyl are melded together, but they're hollow inside. I've installed a brace like you would for sliding doors. If you were to break the window or something, or try to raise the window, it's locked in place with this wooden brace. Yeah. There are 2 things to keep in mind about this window. First of all, we have a curtain over the window which obscures the interior. So someone can't come along and look in the window and see what we have in the basement that might be attractive for a burglar. When we have to open the window, we have a set of bars here. They're also visible from the outside, which constitutes an important deterrent to a burglar. In the event of an emergency and we have to get out of the basement quickly, we could potentially get out of this window. The key, I have a padlock holding the window. The key is kept over here, which is at least 3 feet from the window. You don't want it any closer, or someone can break the glass and reach in and get the key. If we ever have to get out of this window, I also have a stool here which we can stand on to climb out. So those are the features of a secure basement window.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Claude Parent of the CPTED unit with the Ottawa Police. The principles of CPTED look at modifying the environment to reduce crime. Sometimes the environment contributes to crime, and what CPTED is attempting to do is to identify what the crime generators are and to modify the environment to reduce crime. A criminal will pick a target based on his skill set and if whether or not he'll be anonymous or if he'll be able to get away with his crime. Now, with regards to access control, that's the traditional crime prevention approach to crime prevention. Put up target-resistant doors, good windows, good locks. That's not a bad thing. Criminals will break into a house based on their skill set. If the target is too formidable, they'll move on to another target. But what you want from a CPTED perspective is to ensure that the criminal doesn't even try to break into your house because he doesn't see any environmental cues that make him feel safe.